5.3 Mastery Learning Objective is I can determine if a survey, controlled experiment, or an observational study is being used to find a statistic. So we've looked at sampling methods, right? How I'm going to pick my sample, right? And your sample is who you're going to study. Our study method is how you're going to study them, right? Okay, so it's how you're going to study that sample that you chose. So we have 3 different types of study methods. We have observational study, controlled experiment, and survey. Okay? So observational study, right, is you observe or you just look at or previously gathered data. The biggest thing is we're not asking anything. Okay, so for example, students in a science class record the height of bean plants as they grow. I'm not asking the bean plants how tall they are, right? I simply observe their height, measure it, and record it, right? So that's an observational study. A lot of times with observational studies too, it's things like how many people got speeding tickets. I'm going to go into the records of like the local police department and count the number of speeding tickets they gave out. I'm not going to ask, like, I'm not going to pick a sample of people and say like, hey, did you get a speeding ticket? Did you get a speeding ticket? Okay? So observational studies are used a lot on things, right? I can't talk to bean plants. Or a lot of times you use observational studies if you know like the people aren't going to be truthful about it. So a lot of times with like speeding tickets, people could lie, right? So if you're worried about lying and you could just pull records of things happening, you can do an observational study for that. Okay. The next thing we have is a controlled experiment. Controlled experiments are you form 2 groups and change the behavior of one. Okay, so this is an experiment where I change the behavior of one of the groups. And we do that because then we can, we say we limit the variables in things. If I just randomly choose 2 groups and I keep everything the same except this one little thing, I can see how that one little piece of thing affects whatever I'm studying. So our example here is researchers randomly choose 2 groups from 10 volunteers. Over a period of 8 weeks, one group eats ice cream before going to sleep and the other does not. Volunteers wear monitoring devices while sleeping and researchers record dream activity. Okay? So, especially if you choose a large enough group, right? You let these groups be completely random. That way, weird things like, oh, this person sleeps later at night, or this person goes to bed earlier. Hopefully, you have people in both groups that have those things, and the only thing that's entirely different about your 2 groups is eating ice cream, not eating ice cream. That way, I can pinpoint the difference between those things. So again, the biggest thing with controlled experiment is it's two groups and one of them is different than the other. And finally, survey. Surveys, you ask people something. Okay. So for example, student council members ask every 10th student in the lunch line if they like the cafeteria food. I'm asking, hey, do you like it? They respond yes or no. Okay. I'm not observing if they like it. I'm not splitting these people into two groups, just simply asking. All right. For each situation, which study method would you use? The amount of time college students taking a full course load spend watching television. Okay. So for an observational study, I would have to go into these college students' dorm rooms and observe them watching television. That's creepy. I don't think I would do that. Okay. The next thing would be a experiment. Experiments are really if you're trying to see the effect of something. I'm not looking for, it's not like, oh, this affects how much time. I'm just trying to figure out how much time it is. So for this one, I would survey them. I would say, hey, I would pick 100 people on the college campus and be like, how much time do you spend watching TV? And jot it down, right? That's something that would easily be done through a survey. The next one, how often preschoolers choose gender-neutral toys over gender-specific toys? Okay. So our three options are observational study. Well, I could go into a preschool or choose several preschools and sit around for a day and watch them and just jot down every time they choose one toy over the other. So that could easily be an observational study. Experiment, again, I'm not studying the effect of something, so we don't really need an experiment here. And survey, I probably wouldn't do a survey because I'm not going to go up to a preschooler and ask them like, hey, which toy did you choose? Was it gender neutral or gender specific? They don't really know what those words mean. So that wouldn't be effective, okay? So this one would be an observational study, right? I would just observe these preschoolers at preschool and see what they do. All right, example 3, the effect of a new medicine for heart disease. The word effect is super important. As soon as you see that word effect, it's an experiment. Okay? So in this case, I would give half, right, one of the groups the new medicine, and they often do this. They give the other group like a placebo, a sugar pill. Okay, it looks like the medicine, but it's not. And they see how that affects the heart disease, if it's effective or not. All right, go ahead, turn the page. Now we're just going to identify. Okay, a teacher studied how calculator use affected test grades. He had his first period class use calculators and had his second period class not use calculators. Again, that word affected. This is going to be an experiment. And you can easily see the two groups, his first period class and his second period class, right? So he had those two groups. One he gave calculators, one he did not give calculators. Example 5. 20 randomly selected boys and 20 randomly selected girls played a video game that they had never played before. The time it took them to reach a certain level of expertise was recorded. So this one's kind of confusing because there are two groups. However, I'm not doing anything different to one group over the other than boys and girls. And there's no effect here. Okay, and I'm just simply recording their time. So this is actually an observational study. I'm just studying what's already taking place. I'm not making them do anything special. Okay. Example 6. As your statistics project, you collect data by posting 5 questions on a poster board around your classroom and recording how your classmates respond to them. Again, these are, again, this is kind of seems like it might be an observational study. I'm just recording their responses, but I'm actually asking them something, right? I gave them 5 questions to answer. So this would be a survey. Okay, I asked them 5 questions and I wrote down what they told me. Example 7. A professional sports team traded its best player. The local television station wanted to find out what the fans thought of the trade. At the beginning of the evening news program, they asked viewers to call one number if they favored the trade and a different number if they were opposed to the trade. At the end of the news program, they announced that 53.7% of callers favored the trade. They asked. Survey. All right, most times, as soon as you're asking something, right, it's a survey. The local Department of Transportation is responsible for maintaining lane and edge lines on its paved roads. There are 2 new paint products on the market. 20 comparable stretches of road are identified. Paint A is randomly assigned to 10 of the stretches of road and paint B to the other 10. The department finds that paint B lasts longer. I have paint A group and paint B group, okay? Also, right, paint B lasts longer. We found that the effect, right, that's how does the paint last? This is a experiment. Okay, I had my 2 groups and I did something different to them. Example 9, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration conducts annual studies on drivers' seatbelt use at a random selection of roadway sites in each state in the United States. To determine if seatbelt usage has increased, data are analyzed over 2 successive years. Okay? Here, I'm literally just seeing, all right, I'm watching data, maybe cameras, I don't know how they tell, and I see that more people are using seatbelts or less people are using seatbelts. I'm just writing down, yes, they wore it, no, they didn't. This is an observational study. All right, and that is it. I will see you guys on Monday. Have